Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Mic'd Podcast. I'm Mike, a hairdresser of over 20 years. One of the best parts of my job is the conversations that I get to have with all of my clients. We talk about anything and everything and invite you to listen in as we get mic'd up for today's conversation. On this episode, we have Dr. Mike Reed in the chair. Mike is an amazing orthodontist who recently started his own practice. We talk about the challenges of owning your own business and why he got into orthodontics in the first place. Please enjoy. Welcome. I'm excited to have you here.
I'm excited myself.
You're now I don't know what it's proper. Should I call it? Should I just say Mike or Doctor?
Please call me Mike. I always feel weird.
I mean, you got the title. You might as well go for it.
I know,
right?
but I'm the kind of person. You know when you buy your plane ticket and they're like, "What's your?" What's it called? A prefix? You know, and they're like, Sir, Doctor, whatever.
Mister.
I feel like it's pretentious to throw that in there.
I
understand in the case of an emergency, they probably want to know, but I don't want to be the guy. I'm a doctor, but not that kind of doctor. You know what I mean? So I just keep it quiet.
That's okay.
I've talked to so many different dentists and doctors, and some of them are really hardcore about getting that title in there.
Yeah.
But some of them are they're like, please don't.
Yeah,
it's awkward.
It feels weird to me. Like I obviously my staff, I want them to call me doctor in front of patients and stuff.
Yeah.
I think patients, it's a sign of respect, so that's good. Some people I know personally, they'll call me Mike, and I don't say anything about it. I don't care. It's fine. But when people do it, it's only happened a couple of times where someone's done it like blatantly and out of disrespect. Like in front, I'm like, oh, it's Dr. Reed. Okay, Mike. And I go, oh.
You're like, oh, you want to roll right now, huh? I see how. No, but I think it's one of those you worked hard honestly, Allie was like, so the whole reason that our connection, I'll just tell this for everybody, but my wife works at your orthodontics office. Yeah. Right. And she even told me, she's like, you need to meet him. You need to cut his hair. He's an amazing person. She said some really nice things about you. I was like, nice. Are you trying to get a raise? Is that
Yeah.
But no, she was very genuine about it. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, let's meet.
Genuinely love Allie. She's great.
But she, I thought, this is one of those, because now you went through all of I want to hear kind of your story as to why you chose kind of orthodontics, but I have a question about that later. But I think you've done very similar to kind of what I've done. You've started a business, you're growing a business. Yeah. And so I wanted to kind of go down that road a little bit too, because I think it's interesting to hear different people that are in the same position, even though they're different fields. Yeah. I think there's a lot of similarities, and you can learn a lot from people that do that. But first I want to go down why, out of everything, why did you choose orthodontics? Because
why ortho?
I remember as a kid, I heard this stereotype, every job has a stereotype, but I've always heard that dentistry, orthodontics has a very, it's like a very depression, high suicide kind of field. Yeah. And so I'm like, why would anybody want to go into that? Yeah. So where did your story start? Why did you?
So let me address that one thing first.
Yeah, let's go down that.
I've heard that
it's a myth.
Yeah, it's a myth. And people spread it because they hear about some dentist overdosing on nitrous oxide because he's the only one in the office and he had a rough day and he put it on at the end of the day and fell asleep and died, basically suffocation. And it's just not true to the extent that people, say it is. It definitely does happen, but other people die a bunch of ways in their own profession as well. It's not anymore, I guess, per what's the phrase, per capita? Yeah, as others. But why did I choose it? I think I'd have to go back to, I don't know, my dad is in real estate, and I did real estate appraisals from, working for my brother. He had his own appraising company, and I worked for him for about 15 years.
And was that here in Utah? Did you grow up in?
Grew up in California.
In California,
yeah.
Okay.
So I'd started working for him, just doing data entry, kind of for that, all those bits of information that he gets from each of the properties to kind of decide how much it's worth. And then once I could drive, he's like, "You're going to start doing inspections." And I'm like, "What?" Because these guys are expecting an adult, someone who's responsible, to show up in their house and say, "Hey, your house is worth this much," you know? So I learned how to sort of behave like an adult on the phone. And then when I show up, they're just kind of shocked, but they don't have anything they can do about it. So I just do the job anyway.
So how old were you at that point?
16.
You were 16?
16. Driving all 5. There's 5 counties in Southern California, and I would go anywhere down there.
Did you look older, like
No.
for a 16-year-old?
I mean, look at me right now. Like, I'm 37 years old.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well.
And I not to say that I look really young, but most people think that I'm much younger. And I say I have 5 kids, and they go, "What?" And, you know, it kind of blows their mind a little bit.
You're like, yeah, I started when I was 12.
yeah. Got started real early. You know, and it's sort of a detriment, I think, to people trusting me sometimes and thinking that I have experience because I just look younger. Anyway, so I ended up doing that and seeing kind of how the housing market was going. I left on my mission, and that was right, let's see, 2005 to 2007, I was on my mission, and that's right about when the housing crisis hit. So my dad lost pretty much everything, and I came back.
Where did you go on your mission?
Texas.
Okay.
And came back to a totally different kind of life, you know. While I was on my mission, my parents got divorced. I was expecting what I saw with my other siblings when I came home from mission, like mission afterlife, like go work for dad and do this, earn a lot of money and go to school and not have to work while you're in school. Well, none of that happened. I came back and I had to buy myself a car before I had a job.
So was your parents' divorce, was that like sudden? Was it like
yes and no.
Nobody kind of expected it, or it was like, oh.
Me and my brothers kind of expected it. There were a few things going on that kind of pointed us in the direction of our assumptions of what was happening. And then it wasn't until I was on my mission that I got a confirmation letter sent to me. It was a 18-page letter that had way too much detail.
Dang.
So anyway, that's a story in itself. But you know, coming back to a different setup, and I think I kind of knew I liked jobs where I could help people. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, there's some prestige in thinking, oh, I want to be a doctor of some kind. That'd be kind of cool, you know. And so I got a job and I came back working at a hospital. I worked in the ER for about a year.
Okay.
And I worked night shifts because I was going to school full time when I was in California.
What were you doing at the hospital?
I was a clerical coordinator, so it's like a fancy word for just like a receptionist sort of person.
Okay.
But I was in the ER, so I'm inside, not outside taking calls. I'm inside, like waking up doctors at 2 a.m. and transferring calls to the ER doctor that needs to chat with him about a certain patient, and I'm filing lab orders, and I'm busy. Like, it's a very multitasking job. There are many girls involved, and I'm like one guy that was there.
That's okay.
But it was great because I got to talk with a bunch of ER doctors and even specialists, and they're like, "Mike, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, the dentistry and medicine. And every one of them was like, do dentistry. Medicine sucks.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the doctors were saying that.
Yeah.
I thought I would have thought the other way around.
This is also at the time when medicine is losing a lot of control legally. And I don't know, each of them said that your life's going to be better, you're going to make more money, and you won't. And these guys are on call, you know, they work like 15-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, I think. Yeah. And they have like, you start at 3 a.m., you know, or get off at 3 p.m., and they work Christmases and all. These are the ER docs. These are the full-time switch off your shift kind of guys. So all of them are just like going to dentistry. So I kind of was leaning that way anyway.
But had you thought about it at that point? Like what put the idea of dentistry in your head?
Yeah, actually that's good because I skipped this. But on my mission, I had a crazy toothache, like the biggest one in my life, to where I pounded like 6 Excedrin, which anyone listening, don't ever do that. That's a terrible idea. Knowing what it does now, don't do that. But I was in so much pain, and I just remember I took it, and then I was so tired that I finally did fall asleep. And when I woke up, I called the mission president and said, I got to go. I got to see somebody now. And I went and I saw a dentist. I think he was just a dentist, not a specialist or anything, but saw him, and he's like, okay, we're going to do a root canal on this tooth. And that's what I needed. So I was in pain level, 8 or 9 out of 10. And then he explained the procedure as he was doing it. And I thought that was fascinating, which I don't know if I just thought it was interesting. And then at the time I walked out of that office, I was in zero pain, never felt pain in that tooth ever again, not even sore from the procedure at all. So I thought, that was cool. I want to do that. Fast forward, I did endo or root canals in dental school, and I hate it.
Really?
Yeah, it's super
You're
boring.
like, not for me.
Yeah, it's really boring. It's all blind. You kind of just do it by feel. So it wasn't for me, but it's what got me into dentistry in the first place.
Okay. So then, and maybe this is a dumb question, but like, because dentistry and orthodontics, I mean, they work together, but
Very different.
is it completely separate schooling, or do you go to dental school and then you go specialize in orthodontics, correct?
Yeah. So my path was BYU for 4 years, and then I went to the University of Michigan, go blue, for 4 years. After that, I did a 1 year, and this was kind of elective, but I did a 1 year hospital dentistry residency year, where I was on call and stuff, and did a bunch of surgeries and stuff like that. Got the scrub-ins, really fun. And then I went to Georgia and did 3 years of residency. So the equivalent of this would kind of be like in medicine, when you go through med school, you're pretty much done. I think everyone has to do 1 year. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
But that's like family medicine. But if you want to do anything else, dermatology or
Specialties.
specialty, you go to residency. And so for me, I did dental school, everything that the dentist does, but then I said, I'm going to do 3 more years. I'm going to forego making money for 3 years, and I'm going to learn and do only ortho all day long, every day for 3 years. So that's what I did, finished, came out here.
And when you started orthodontic school, it was just like, yep, this is it.
Oh yeah.
This is the one.
It was kind of before that. I remember there was a moment, in fact, I applied out of dental school, had some interviews, didn't get in, which is very common because it's very competitive to get into ortho. So that's why I did that year, and I did that year in Mississippi, which was cool. It's great. But I remember there was a moment there where I had one of those realizations that, okay, if this doesn't happen, am I okay being a general dentist? And that was like one of the most difficult internal conversations I had with myself, because it really wasn't okay.
You were like, no, I don't want to do that.
I don't. Yeah. And I think I resolved to just saying, whether it takes 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, this is what I want to do.
So what would happen if you didn't get in? Like, you would just have to sit on the wayside and wait?
You'd have to go work somewhere and apply again the next year, because it's one application cycle a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's kind of it's an expensive process. It's not just I'll throw my application in. I'll throw my application in several thousands and thousands of dollars with the hopes that someone invites me, and then I pay my way out there to, fly out there, stay in a hotel, get interviewed, and then go back home and wait and hope.
So you must have had a good interview.
I guess.
Because you got in first go around?
Second. So yeah, not straight out of dental school, but the next one. But it was a school that I interviewed at the first year, didn't get in. And then they changed directors, and I interviewed at it again and got in. So,
okay. So you get out of, finish up orthodontic school.
Yeah.
And this is in orthodontics, there's orthopedic surgeons.
Yeah, those are medicine.
That's
medicine side, yeah.
But then, so once you're out of school,
yeah,
then what? So how do you get to where?
Yeah. So since I went to BYU here, I can't remember how I ended up at this office, but this office down the street that I ended up taking over, I ended up coming in shadowing, because when you go to dental school, you need to have a certain number of shadowing hours, because they want to make sure whoever comes into the program, is at least not scared of blood, or looks at this and is like, I could do this, and it's not like, ew, I don't want to do that, So I ended up shadowing this orthodontic office, the one that I currently own. And that doctor kind of, I don't know, he liked having me around. So I came like once a week there and shadowed him and watched and asked questions. He ended up writing letters of recommendation for me pretty much the whole way through my education. And then right before, like maybe the weekend before I was about to leave for my residency, and he knew I got in and everything, pulled me aside and was like, what are you doing in 3 years?
Oh, he already knew he was going to be
Yeah.
peacing out.
Yep.
Is that a pretty common, like, is that a common thing? Like you just go into a practice and then hopefully purchase it at some point and take over?
I think it is.
Or did you get really lucky?
I think I got really lucky. There's a big wave going through dentistry right now where a bunch of big companies with a lot of financial backing are buying up all these practices and paying more than a private person like me could pay for a practice, because once the practice is evaluated and they say it's worth this much, that's how much I can get a loan for. But if that same practice says it's worth this much and this other company comes along and say, well, we're going to tack on another 30% just to make sure you're happy. And they do that so that they can buy it, and then they own 300 practices across the US, and they're able to, cut costs with mass ordering of supplies and things like that. But all the autonomy of the doctor is gone. He makes no more decisions on his own. Then you're working for someone else again.
So do you feel like, does that kind of, I guess in the hair world, it would be like the Ultas. Like most hairdressers they're like, we hate Ulta because like, I don't hate anybody, but like Ulta is like a 4-letter word for most professional hairdressers because they're basically coming in, buying all the product, and it just sits on their shelves for years and years and years. And they're making our jobs a little harder. Is it the same?
It's like the same. Yeah.
Are they do you feel like that in the field of orthodontics is going to hurt?
I think, so it's like kind of a corporate model, and it's been around for years, but I feel like it's picking up even more steam as of late. And it's kind of what I was mentioning before with how medicine, all of them are like, well, you have control over your profession, Well, with these corporate offices, you have much less control over the profession itself, and it kind of ruins it. And I know it's not to the same scale, but in like general dentistry, these are the kind of offices where instead of saving a tooth and, I don't know, trying to do a root canal and a crown on a tooth, if it's a corporate owned office and they have incentives and they're like, push everyone towards dentures, then they'll say, nope, extract all the teeth, put these in, where there was a chance it could have been fine to save it. So then you take what's ethical in that situation, what's the right thing, and I feel like that blurs the lines, and I don't like it.
Yeah. So then, how do you, I guess, well, it's not a small business, but how do you compete? How do you?
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure that out. No, it's tough. Customer service is the biggest one. I get people that have gone, because there's offices in the area that have been bought by these big companies, and I've had people come over to my office and be like, we were over here, all my other kids were here, and we liked it, and then they got bought out and changed, and when that happened, they said something felt different. We didn't like it, so we came over here, and we're here now. So I think people can feel the difference between just a big company and kind of a more personal touch.
Yeah. So customer service is a big one, because I feel like it's becoming a lost art.
It is.
Everybody is, worried about themselves, and they forget that we're in the service industry.
Yeah.
Like, you're servicing their teeth, they're making sure that they look their absolute best. Same thing. So how do you train people to be good at customer service? Because it's a trick. Like that's
one of the things that I'm having issues with now, even, is some people get it and are really good at it, and some people just don't get it, maybe because of how they're raised, or maybe just because that's the norm of 18 to 22-year-old girls. and it's just kind of show up, clock in, clock out. You're kind of more concerned about what's happening on your phone rather than anything else, And like I said, not everyone is that way, and I tend to not employ those types of people, or if I do, not very long. But that's hard. I mean, I feel like maybe getting involved in some conventions or speaking events by outside the profession type things, because there's a lot of conferences within dentistry you can go to, and they'll teach you, do this, do this, do this. But honestly, I feel like the people that are better at that, or if you were to go to a customer service convention, or like a convention where a speaker from Disneyland shows up and talks about how they do their thing because they're on a whole different level, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, they used to be.
Used to be.
Disney is.
Yeah, I know.
They've tanked a little
They
bit.
have. Yeah.
I have to say, we've been very avid Disney people.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear, like when I met Allie, we went to Disneyland,
Mm-hmm.
and we had been every year, sometimes twice a year,
Mm-hmm.
since we got married. And this last time we went, I'm like, nah.
The experience was bad.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
They've become more focused about money
Uh-huh.
than they are about people.
I mean, they've lost a lot recently,
Yeah.
so I guess I get that.
But it's just, I don't know.
But
Like
they
I feel
earned
like,
that.
and maybe that's what it is. Everybody's so worried about the bill at the end, or the dollar, that they forget about.
Yeah.
There's more that goes along with it than just the price tag.
Yep.
You know, in your office, like there's an expectation. Like when somebody comes in, here's what they're going to get. I mean, I know with my kids want to go to your office every time because you get cookies.
Yeah.
They're like, give me cookies.
That's just one thing.
It's
crazy
It's a small
how-
little
yeah,
thing, but it
it's a little
makes a
thing.
big difference.
Yeah.
And it's those little details.
Yeah.
People are always so focused on the others. So
Yeah. And I've found, I don't know if it's the area here, but you know, those small teeny incentives go a long way with people. I want to just say, hey, come to my office. I'm going to make a smile better than the other guy, because I will.
yeah,
I guarantee you I will. But people don't care necessarily about it. Not everyone does, I should say. Some people do. Some people really do. And that's why they come to the office. But, you know, I think in general, people want to feel like they're at a fun place. They want to feel they're at a place where they're getting like treated a little bit.
yep.
Just tricky to do, because I feel like I scoff at some of the offices. They're like, come in for a full massage and all this. I'm like, we're an ortho office. Why are you doing massages?
Well, see, people want to feel like they're a part of something. They don't want to be weirded out.
Yeah. Yes.
Like if I went to an ortho and they were like, let me massage
Yeah.
you. I'd be like,
Yeah.
hold up.
Yeah.
That's a
Little much.
little too much
Stick
for
to
me.
the
But stick to the teeth. Leave my back and my hands or whatever alone.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, yeah, customer service is definitely an
there's-
art form.
There's this one video I've used in a training once before with the staff, and I need to bring it back around because it's been about a year, and turnover for my staff is high just because it's a lot of young unmarried or just married and then having a baby. You know, it fluctuates greatly, but
Yeah.
but it's called Give 'Em the Pickle. And it's this I know, no, it's not that one, but
You got to pay extra for that one.
yeah. That one's that's the back door.
Okay.
That got a little
Give him
dark.
the pickle. All right.
Give him the pickle.
let's take it.
No, but there's this guy who runs a restaurant, and it's an old video, but he's been known for 30 plus years it's like a diner type place, and he's very successful, and everyone knows his place. I don't remember where it is in the States, but every sandwich or any meal or thing that they get, it comes with a pickle, like an entire pickle or something. And there was a person who didn't get a pickle one time, and he went up to the staff and said, "Hey, I didn't get my pickle. Can I get one?" And the staff member was like, "No, we gave you one," and just no matter what, just like wouldn't give him the pickle.
Mm-hmm.
And when he heard about this, he's like, the person who wrote is like, "I've been coming here for like 20 years. It's been great. I love it. But this happened, And so anyway, it prompted this owner to kind of have a company-wide conversation, and he called it "Give him the pickle." And it was basically what it meant is go the extra mile. A little pickle's not going to make all the difference in the world to us, but it will to the patient, or not the patient, sorry, the customer. So kind of encapsulating that in the ortho realm would be just do anything and everything you can to make that person's experience there enjoyable.
Yep.
And the way I see it is I want people to not dread their appointment. They come up once every 6 weeks or so. I don't want it to be, I have to go to the orthodontist and I'm going to be there for this amount of time to do this procedure. I want them excited to come because they get to talk to so-and-so and it's always fun. And that's the kind of experience that I want people to have. I want it to be a convenient, happy one, the highlight of their day in some cases. So give them the pickle.
Give him the pickle. But I mean, it's true. Like we talk here about it's quality over anything else.
Yeah.
But quality isn't just the haircut, it's the experience. What is the experience that people are going to have? Because if they're not having a good experience, somebody once told me that every single person, whenever they go somewhere, whether they go to a restaurant or an orthodontist office, whether they go to a bounce house, like jumping gym or something like that, everybody is always rating everything.
Yep.
And it could be on a scale of 1 to 10, could be on a scale of 5 stars, whatever. But somebody told me if you give them anything less than a 10 or a 5 star, you're giving them a reason to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
focus
on what the experience, focus on what the quality of the service is. But again, like now you own your practice, so you care a whole lot more.
Yep.
The same, I feel like, how do you find getting your staff to care in the same realm as you do?
Yeah. I mean, you're cutting me deep here, right? that is the question that I am trying to answer myself right now. Because I mean, obviously love my staff. I think they're great, but it's that difference of encapsulating someone who's committed to helping grow the practice rather than just work at the practice.
Yep.
And that's hard because there's only a certain number of people that are that way, and they've been around for a long time. So obviously that helps, but it's just, I think for a lot of people, it's a transient job. Not like it's a McDonald's, I'm going to work here for a minute and then move over somewhere else, but they know they won't be doing this forever, or it's a pit stop into doing what they really want to do, which is dental hygiene or something.
Yeah.
But for getting people to be excited about what they're doing every day and making an experience, better, I guess, than other people, that's hard. If you have an answer to that, I would love to know. I
mean, I think you again, it's same with the customers or the patients that come in. You want them to feel like they're included.
Yeah.
Staff, I feel like the same way. They want to feel like they're included in something great. You want to do things together, even though they might be silly or dumb, but doing little things together where you can actually get a connection on a level other than work. Yeah. Which is hard because,
when you're working, you're in the thick of it, so you're not connecting as much,
But I don't know. Anytime I interview people, it's like first interview is all just about personality. Mm-hmm. I don't even look at in that first interview, can you do hair? Yeah. Because hair I can teach you how to do. Yeah. Personality, can't teach you to be nice. Yeah. So
that's very true.
Once they pass interview number 1, then we go down the road of let's see where you're at skill level wise. So yeah. And hopefully if they have a good personality and then customer service becomes second nature because they're just genuinely a nice person.
Yeah, and I think that is probably the answer, because I think unfortunately for a lot of people, it's sort of a lost cause in terms of customer service. Just maybe it's how they're raised, or maybe it's just what they value in life is more important than person-to-person interaction.
But are you finding too, this is, COVID came along, mm-hmm. and the hiring pool. Yeah. Are you still, pickings are slim? Or are you getting enough applicants?
I still get enough applicants. I'm not also always looking to hire, so it's kind of hard to gauge. But anytime I have needed to hire, I've either found somebody, either from someone that one of my existing employees knows, which is always better than I think some rando off the street. But I don't feel like there's a huge shortage necessarily. I do feel like it's hard to find someone who has existing experience, because either they've gone off to something else, or same thing, they have a child at home, they can only come in 1 day a week, and it's like, oh, I get it, I don't fault you for that, but I need it full time. And I have a lot I think that makes our office a little bit unique in that we have a lot of part-time employees.
Yeah.
It's almost hard for me to keep straight who I have what day. I ask my coordinator all the time, like, so-and-so's leaving. Are we good? Do we need a person? And she'll let me know. She's like, well, Tuesday, Thursday, we're good. We're actually overstaffed. I'm like, why is that?
You're
and
like,
then
all
Monday,
right.
Wednesday, we're short. So Monday, Wednesday, we're running behind. We got people waiting. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, I'm twiddling my thumbs. So I kind of want a little bit of an in-between.
Oh, man. That's when you just throw your assistants in the chair and say, I'm going to practice on you if I don't have people
honestly,
in the chair.
There's a video
No.
that I think Allie took it, actually. But it was me getting an impression from one of my employees.
Really?
And she already knows. It was awful. It was like she did so bad. She
Like
knows,
what?
though.
What
And-
was the... Because that's the impression.
Yeah, like the goopy
stuff that you bite down
you
on.
bite
and
down
it's
and
like,
hold still.
if-
Well, she did everything you could do wrong in the book, pretty much. And I'm sitting there taking it, just waiting, because I can't speak. And I'm like, you pushed too hard. You moved the entire time. You left too much on there. I was gagging. And you were looking around the room a ton, which meant, it was like shaking around. You were checking whether it was like set up or not with your hand. And every time you did that, you moved. I could feel the impression push up more and more to where my teeth hit the tray. And I'm like, it would not work. This is a terrible impression. But that's what we did because I had nothing to do because we were staffed up enough that I was like, I'll just sit right here. Hey, take an impression on me. Yeah.
You're like, well, keep the assistant job. No.
Yeah. She was newer, so
No.
she knows, and we talked about it. She laughed.
See, but I think those are the kinds of funny, like you're basically putting them in your position and letting them see, like, yeah, what I do, it's tricky. It's like, but you're putting them in a position of, I think it's like an equality type thing.
Yeah.
Like even though yes, you're the end all, the says all, like
Right.
you make the final decisions, but those kinds of experiences for them put them in a level of like trust and of, they understand, they get to be in your shoes for a second.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good way to build that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they realize. I mean, I hopefully let them know enough that even though I am that, like as you described, kind of like, I won't say the end all,
Yeah.
but the guy in charge,
Yeah.
the ultimate say on what happens, they are like my hands. You know what I mean? I'm maybe the brain and they're my hands. And so they have to be able to do all the things that I would do in that circumstance, aside from a few things legally speaking that I'm supposed to do and that they're not allowed to do. But everything else, like they are entrusted with, if I sit down and say, hey, throw in this wire, steel tie this tooth, chain from here to here, and see him back in 6 weeks, I walk away from the chair. I don't go back. I'm the full assumption that they're doing it right at that point,
Yeah.
And if they're trained properly, they are.
Yeah.
It's very rare that they're not, but yeah.
You hope that they're not
No, I hope so.
wiring somebody's
Otherwise-
mouth shut.
Otherwise, in 6 weeks, I'm going to be real pissed.
No, but I think, yeah, it's got to be a tricky one to bring. Well, I guess it's good that if they are doing the job and you're having success in your business, then yeah, you are hiring the right people and you're
Right.
bringing them to do the right thing. So
And I have noticed a difference in that exact thing with hiring personality more than skill, because I can teach anybody how to be an orthodontic assistant. That's not hard.
yeah,
It takes time to get it to a point where you can manage a chair and do everything on your own, but it's personality. I mean, my best hires are people that have zero orthodontic or even dental experience. They don't even know like anything about teeth, how many teeth you have or anything like that. Well, if I say bicuspid or premolar, they have no idea. There's deer in the headlights.
See, all I know is Allie always tells me my cuspid is off. And she's like, you need braces. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm 45 years old. I haven't had braces yet. So she's like, oh, one day, Mike, one day.
One day. I have to admit, I did not notice. I was not looking. I normally do.
You're
but I
not
didn't
walking
look.
around being like, ooh,
What's wrong with that
guy.
one?
Oh, look at that.
I normally am. Let down my guard. It's a Sunday.
You know what? I used to have people tell me the worst thing, if I sat behind them at church, they'd be like, oh, why did you have to sit behind me? Because I know you're looking at my hair.
Yeah,
I'm like,
his hairline's not straight.
Honestly, the only thing that really ever drove me crazy was hairy necks.
Yeah.
If some dude had like a collar and that hair was like rolling up over, I'm like,
Just takes a second.
Give me the
Yeah.
clippers and let's
Yeah.
trim that off. But
I wish I could do that on my own more. I usually have my wife do it because I'm like, clean me up back there. I can't see it.
well, and that's a great, like, honestly, if you, now that this is all shaped, here's what you do. I'll give you this little tidbit.
Yeah.
If you can just keep the neck clean. So she's got a good line.
Yeah.
Just keep the neck clean. Like use, I don't know, you have like a little shaver or
Yeah.
something. Take that shaver and just every other day or once a week.
Yeah.
You can't let it get too long, and just clean up the neck. It'll make the haircut last a bazillion times longer,
That's true.
even though it grows out and it's,
Yeah.
but I don't know. So how many times have you actually been caught huffing nitrous oxide at night? I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you what. The only time, because I don't even have it.
This is stupid. Do they have you like take it in school and be
Yes.
like, here's what too much feels like?
Well, so no, they say they teach you how much is appropriate, and they do that when you're kind of learning how to treat little kids. So there's a bunch of math and stuff you got to know how to do, and fortunately I don't have to do that stuff because again, orthodontics is better. But the first and only time that I've ever had nitrous oxide was in school when I was learning that, and everyone kind of sits through. They just because you're administering it, they want everyone to know what it feels like. It's kind of like the first shot you give it to a fellow classmate before you give it to anyone else.
Yeah.
And then you receive it from a classmate too.
Okay.
Call it stab lab. It's fun. But so the first time I got it, I was kind of like the last person to kind of go through it of the group that was in there. And the guy that was doing it on me thought he was funny.
Crank it up.
So he gave me the normal amount and then cranked it up, didn't tell me. And I was like, I don't really feel anything. And then all of a sudden I felt super warm and I felt like I was floating. And I was thinking in my head, don't pee, don't pee, don't pee. And I don't know why that went through my head, but for whatever reason, I had this weird feeling like I needed to pee to the point where I was almost like scared, like I couldn't control it. And then someone said a joke and I thought, I'll give it a fake laugh, pretend like I'm getting it. So I was thinking I go, ha, 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 but I went, ha, 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 and it got louder. And I realized that, this is up a little high, I think. And he's like, and I can't remember the number, but it's like, he's supposed to be at 2. He gave me like 7.
And he knew he was doing it.
Oh yeah,
though.
he did. Yeah.
So does he get in trouble? Like I would think that if I was in school like that and there was like, we're going to test drugs today, kids.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Well, conveniently, the professor was like at another spot talking about something with someone else, and so they weren't around. But that's my only experience with nitrous.
Dang.
And drugs for that matter. I'm not really a drug person, so I haven't really experienced anything. So I don't know if that's how all drugs feel or not.
Well, it's when I went on a mission and I broke my leg, and it was the only time that I've ever been given like straight drugs into the vein. They put morphine.
Oh, wow.
And they said, I remember like I was in excruciating pain. And the nurse came over and, I was in New Zealand, so she had kind of an accent. And she's like, now you're going to feel like a little fizzy pop kind of going up, like a soda pop or whatever, going up your arm. And then when it hits, you'll be great.
Yeah.
And I remember the thing going in and then and I always say I would gladly break another bone to have that.
Yeah.
But I do not condone going and doing all those drugs because that'll mess you up.
Yeah.
But that was my one experience with a straight into the vein, and it was wild. So I'm like, don't get started with that, kids.
Yeah, do not.
Stay away from it. But I
kind of got annoyed. We went through dental school, and they talk about prescribing drugs, and they hammer like opioids, like take it down a notch with the opioids, and through my entire career of doing this and schooling, I would maybe prescribe like 6 pills, at the most for like a gnarly extraction, something where they really need it. And that's the most I would ever do. You go to like the ER, and this is probably going to get me in trouble with some, I don't know if some like doctors are going to be like, bull crap, we don't do that. They'll write like 30 pills for something that needs like 5. And we're the ones that get all the crap for it.
But now there's there's that Netflix show on right now called Painkiller, where it's all about the opioid things. Like, and I know like in this I don't even know, a drama documentary, because it's not like yeah, it's actors or whatever, but the story is somewhat real.
Yeah.
Did you at some point were what is it, pharmaceutical reps coming into orthodontist office and being like, hey guys, here's the newest and greatest thing.
No.
Like watching it on that show, I'm like, dude, that's nuts. Like,
No, they didn't do that for us. If anything, they were on the other side. Like they would bring in, I mean, I guess that's different. That's from a salesmanship kind of perspective. But
yeah,
I remember they brought in this used to be dentist that lost his license for abusing drugs. And they talk about how serious it is and not getting involved in that stuff. And they're always hammering, do not prescribe more than you need. And there's these other medicines that you can use that have the same efficacy and aren't as, dangerous. And they kind of hammer that into our heads, frankly.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I understand why you have to go through medical school and stuff to get that. Because, man, that would be wild if all that stuff was just willy-nilly. Take it.
Yeah.
But
It always bothered me, though. I felt like we were getting the bad rep, and then I'd go to the ER, and they'd be like, yeah, we just wrote, 60 Vicodin. And I'm like, 60? What are you doing?
What do you need that many for?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta make you can turn 60.
Yeah.
You can turn it around and make a hefty profit, but no.
That's right.
So then you've been doing this now for how long?
In private practice after residency, going on 3 years come December.
So-
Or no, 2.5 years.
So then what's the next step in is it open up a second practice? Is it
I would like
what's the goal for the future?
Yeah, so I kind of purposely named the practice Form Orthodontics and not Read Orthodontics
Okay.
for a lot of reasons, but scalability goes out the door when you have
Your
the name. I guess it doesn't. Some people have that and it's fine, but I feel like the ability to take on an associate, a partner, or sell it, or anything, to expand and open another office is much easier done when it's just kind of a name that can stand alone, I guess.
Yeah.
And I would love to. Who wouldn't love to have 6 offices and work 1 day a week or something? That would be great. I currently work 4, so I can't complain. But yeah, usually you kind of get one practice busting at the seams before you start looking at opening a satellite or another office somewhere else. Because once you do that, your expenses go up. You usually have to hire another guy because you can only split your time so much.
Yeah. Then you end up partnering with somebody, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the.
Yeah. If I did that, I'd have to make sense financially, and that's the part I'm too new into the game to even know how or why that would be financially beneficial, unless
Yeah.
he came to the table with something to offer and I came to the table with something to offer, and then it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things when it comes to business. If you have a business partner, they have to bring something different to the table than
Yeah.
what you yourself can bring.
Yeah.
Because if you both bring the same thing, you're going to have issues.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have problems. Somebody's going to get upset. Somebody's going to feel like they're doing more,
Yeah.
and it never bodes well. So anybody that's out there that's listening or wanting to start their own practice, ask yourself, can you do it yourself? If
Yeah.
you can,
Do it.
do it.
Yeah. That's one of the, I think, tough things about coming through dental school is they spend very little time on business, which is crazy. Because
They don't teach you how to go about.
they give you basic, but in terms of how to run a business, how to hire, fire, how to manage budget, all that stuff's breezed over if anything. And so you get all these people that are earning a ton of money, and you just say, go out there and don't go bankrupt. And it's a problem. I think the education system for that should be changed a bit. I think there should be a year that's like an MBA, sort of.
Is that pretty? Do you find are there a lot of orthodontists that get way in over their head because they weren't trained? Here's how you got to do it. Don't spread yourself too thin right away. Because
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's limited to orthodontists. I'd say across all of dentistry, just not knowing what you're doing. And a lot of people learn it in practice, actually doing it. But it's a steep learning curve. I mean, even for me, I came into an established practice and bought it, and so it had infrastructure. It had everything kind of there. But still, even that, it's like, what do I need here, and why do I need this, and who do I send this to? Like, that kind of stuff is all just, I guess that's what's important about having like a team around you, accountants and lawyers and stuff like that.
Well, and so if they didn't give you any kind of business classes or whatever, you just researched it and studied it out, or you ask other people that have gone down that same road and say, what should I do?
Yeah. I'll admit there's still things that I don't really have a good answer for, because I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I remember someone asked, who was it? It was like someone on my staff that was like, hey, you do this now, how much do you want to charge? And I went, I don't know. What do we charge for other stuff? Like, it was almost like figure out what our percentage upcharge is, and then do that across the board, I guess. And that was a trial and error too. I did that, and I was like, I feel like I'm not making as much as I should on that. I'm kind of losing money. So we changed the price on that. And so that's the kind of stuff that's like, knowing the standard for that kind of thing would be good.
I mean, are other orthodontists pretty, like, because I feel like within the hair world, it's not one of those things like we don't go to other hairdressers and be like, tell me what your prices are.
Yeah.
Like,
it's sort of, I think it's sort of everyone kind of keeps that tight-lipped.
I wonder why. Like, it seems like something like if you're in the same field.
Yeah. If you're not in direct competition, people are much more likely to kind of spill that. But if you're talking to someone in the same county or something, they're probably not going to tell you everything.
They're like, I'm not going to give you any answers.
Yeah. But
I've never.
Kind of nice to hire someone that's come from one of those offices, though, because you go, hey, what are they doing over there?
Give me all the deep.
Yeah.
Is that is there a lot of, I guess they call it poaching? So
I was kind of sort of trained, the guy I bought the practice from, he was trained that's like a no good, don't do it. And that makes sense, right?
I feel like that's just a common sense kind of a thing. But
he was like, I'm really careful not to do that. So if someone comes from another office, I say, hey, you're going to have to like take care of that and talk to him on your own. And I'm not going to hire you until you're not, working for that person anymore. Stuff like that, to just be really careful about it. And it's just kind of funny because I just had a doctor's lunch, which you probably know about.
Oh, yes.
I felt bad. Allie came home, had a giant headache.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I wish I could do anything for you right now. I feel so bad.
She gets them all the time, and it's not enjoyable.
But one of the doctors there, he's a surgeon. I don't know if I should say this. Well,
don't say. I mean,
I'm not going to say a name, but there were a few oral surgeons there. But he, we invited him to this and fed him and everything and did all these things for him. And he's like, "Thanks so much for inviting him." I'm like, "No problem, anytime." And I already don't use him that much, but it was like, cool. He's come to this a lot. It's fine. And I find out from my staff that he came over and be like, "Hey, we're hiring assistants." And I was like, "What?" When I heard it, I was like, still to this moment, I'm astounded. Now I'm like, I'm not referring anything to this guy.
Dude.
He's trying to steal my assistants.
Yeah, you don't do that. Now, if the assistant goes to them and is like, "Hey, I'm not happy," okay, great, let's talk. But to go into like another salon, like we had a class in here this morning. If I had other stylists from different salons that were in here attending a class because they wanted further edge, I wouldn't be like, "Hey, while you're here,
right?
Let me show you what we got."
Well, that's what blew my mind, because you're at my event. It's not even like you ran into this person at the grocery store. "Oh, you work over at Form Ortho, cool." No, you're at my event, and you're going, "Hey, we're hiring surgical assistants." The audacity! I was floored. I was blown away. Hey, you make me look not too bad.
I mean, hey, we got to make you look, your age. People aren't going to think that you're 12 anymore. No.
I need some gray hairs.
No, but I don't know. Running a business is tough, and I understand like there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't ever see the stuff that you do
Oh yeah.
behind the scenes that actually, I hear a lot of people, especially now, like a lot of younger people think they can always run the business better than the person that's actually owning the business.
Yeah.
And it's,
I was probably guilty of that same feeling, honestly.
I mean, I think we all
Parts of
have it.
You know.
We always see like, oh, look, he's just sitting around. He's not doing anything. Yeah. But you know what? Next time you say that, like,
Yeah.
firing somebody is the worst thing in the world.
Oh yeah.
It is
It's not easy.
not an enjoyable. And when you might have some people that you can pass it down to, like for what I do. I mean, I work right next, like they're friends. So when I'm like, hey, this isn't working.
Yeah.
It sucks because you're involved. And
You're like Michael Scott, and you're like, can we still be friends? We gotta part ways.
Can I
but
get a hug
can we
before you leave
Yeah.
after you've just been fired? But no, I think from what my wife says, you're running a pretty good ship.
Oh,
So
thank you. It's good to hear.
keep it up. Keep doing it. Keep those cookies. Maybe have like a nitrous oxide night when all the assistants can like.
Everyone take a seat. We're gonna go sky
We're
high
all gonna
today.
connect. We're gonna bond,
You won't remember a thing though.
and then give them the pickle.
give after hours.
No, yeah,
Thank you.
That's it.
This looks amazing.
You're set up. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing and talking, and it's great to get to know you.
Yeah,
So,
my pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much.
all right, that's it. We're done.